Hi, my name's Josh Williams, and for my category for Project 2, I've chosen non-Western mathematics, more specifically Chinese approximations of pi. What is pi? Pi is a very important part of a lot of mathematical formulas. Students first encounter pi when they're studying circles and realize that the area of a circle is equal to pi times the square of the length of the radius. This formula is sometimes described as area equals pi r squared. Before we get more in depth with pi, let's have a quick geometry review. The circumference of a circle is its perimeter, or the length around it. The distance from the center of the circle to any given edge of the circle is the radius. The distance between one side of the circle to the very opposite side, which is twice the size of the radius, is called the diameter. Pi more in depth. Mathematicians believe that there must have been some special relationship between the elements of a circle. They thought this because circles come in all sizes, but still are retaining the same overall shape. Over time, that special relationship turned out to be the concept we know as pi, more specifically involving pi. Pi is the ratio of a circle's circumference to the diameter of the circle. The size of the circle does not matter. Pi will always remain the same size. An example would be take any given circle and divide its circumference by its diameter. Regardless of the size of the circle, the number will always remain the same, which is pi, 3.14159. Pi has a value that cannot be expressed perfectly as a simple fraction, which makes it an irrational number. An irrational number is any real number that cannot be expressed as the exact ratio of two integers. Two given examples are square root and pi. Scientists usually approximate pi because of its infinitely continuous decimal places. Most oftentimes, pi is approximated as 3.14159, but in a more general sense, it is seen as just 3.14, which is why Pi Day is March 14th. Mathematicians have also proven there are no repeating materials in the irrational number of pi. That means that the numbers that are continuously going on are not found in any sort of patterned way. They are just random numbers continuing on infinitely. Here we'll take a look at what pi actually looks like. We have some examples to different numbers of digits past the decimal point with pi. Pi to the 10th digit is an example, pi to the 100th digit, as well as pi to the 1000th digit. Through a lot of formulas and ideas that have come together to be true regarding pi, computers have actually been able to calculate pi to over 3 trillion digits, which is not where it stops, but that just gives you an idea of how ongoing and continuous the number pi is in general. Before we begin talking about the additions that the Chinese brought to the approximation of pi, I have a video here and a game you could play. The video will help you if you have any questions or are confused about anything I've gone over so far, and the game is just a fun pi game you can try, and it helps you memorize the decimal places after pi. Where pi's approximation all began in China. Liu Hu's pi algorithm. Before his work in China, the ratio of the circumference of a circle to its diameter was looked at as about 3. Liu came to the first ever calculated conclusion that pi, which is the ratio of the circumference of the circle to its diameter, was between 3.141024 and 3.142708. Along with this conclusion, he expressed pi as a 157 over 50, but at the same time, he proclaimed that this was still a rather small assumption. Liu was the first Chinese mathematician to prove an algorithm for calculation of pi to any given accuracy at all. Liu's own calculation provided accuracy of 5 digits, 3.1416. History of pi continued after Liu Hui. Zhu Chongzi worked off of Liu's approximation to determine that 3.1415926 was less than or equal to pi, which was less than or equal to 3.1415927, which is an approximation of 7 decimal places being completely accurate to 2 more decimal places than Leo's. This was found by the 5th century. The Zhu-Changzi ratio is what the ratios equivalent to pi were known as. Listed are the best rational approximation of pi with the denominator of 4 digits or fewer. As there are more digits involved, it becomes more accurate. Zhu wrote a book about all the mathematics behind his work and how he established this idea. Sadly, the book was lost. It is reported in the history of the Sui dynasty with very little specific detail. Here we got China during the 5th century. Split in half, China was entering a period best known as the Northern and Southern dynasties. This is where equal regimes ruled the northern and southern halves of the country, causing regions to completely separate, as well as studies would uncouple between the two. Although there were many mathematicians and scientists, not many had much of a breakout discovery. Leo Hui's pi algorithm was one of the first major mathematical discoveries found with pi and geometry. Following Leo Hui's work was Zhu Changzi finding the most accurate placing of pi that wasn't surpassed for over 1,000 years to come. Math included in China's approximation of pi. It all began with the curiosity of a circle, the circumference, perimeter, radius, diameter, etc. As all of these questions were logically answered, the question that brought us pi was born. It was discovered that the ratio of a circle's circumference to the diameter of a circle gives you the exact same number regardless of the size of a circle. Leo Louis was a famous mathematician of the Wei Kingdom that did not agree with the approximations of pi previously established. He believed the number presented was much too large. He stated that the ratio of the circumference of an indescribed hexagon to the diameter of the circle was 3, proving that pi must be larger than 3. Step-by-step description and calculating pi to any needed accuracy. Louis found this based on bisecting polygons. He calculated pi to be between 3.141024 and 3.142708 with a 96-agon shape, which is expressing pi as a ratio of 157/50. That's way too long again. Am I talking slow? Or too slow like a retard?
Yeah.
Continuing on with math included in China's approximation of pi. Zhu computed and gave 2 rational approximations of pi. 22/7 and 355/113 were the 2 closest fractions to the exact number of pi, with a small denominator. It was obvious the larger the denominator, the more accurate the ratio is to pi. Zhu studied this idea and found a long list of ratios representing pi from small to large denominators. The impacts of pi in mathematics today. Since pi directly relates to circles, it is found in many formulae in trigonometry and geometry. To be more specific, those regarding circles, ellipses, or even spheres. Pi appears in areas of mathematics and the science that have close to nothing to do with geometry of circles as well. An example or two would be number theory and even statistics. Because of it being a constant or a permanent number, it is one of the most popular and well-known mathematical concepts in the scientific community. A number of books have been devoted to the number pi. The celebration of Pi Day every year, which brings a lot of math back to pi every year on the celebration of that day. People all over the world compete in competitions to memorize the value of pi. On Pi Day, March 14th of 2016, Pizza Hut ran a contest. The first customer to correctly answer the following questions was given 3.14 years worth of free pizza. The questions Pizza Hut posted are as followed below.